get serious.
Ladies, gentlemen, and bonkers of all ages, me make bonk stick bonk goodly, so Monster Head no work so good. If you want hammer builds, you're in the right place. The final update for Monster Hunter Wilds before the expansion has a fair bit of new equipment, specifically the Arkveld Gamma set and the Sororal set from the Nadia side quest, and they've shaken up builds for multiple weapons. So today, let's talk about the best builds for hammer after the new equipment that has been added in. For many weapons, there's tons of variations of builds that could be considered best, but for hammer specifically, it's pretty straightforward. You're looking for the highest effective raw above all else, though we do get some element boosting if it is easy to pick up as a bonus, just because element is more damage, even as a weapon that doesn't care enough to hard focus on it, as we are mostly looking to just get the most raw damage possible. That said, we will also be looking for the first rank of flare, because the flat damage procs from that are very good at this stage in time. That said, we'll have our main build that mathematically has the highest damage potential. The other main thing that we'll have is a build that focuses less on latent power, as latent power is quite good, more so even so now with 10-star quests being a big source of farming and hitting as hard as they do with the monsters in them. But if you think that you never get hit by a monster, then latent power does not reach its full theoretical value, so I'll offer a build without latent power being a focus, but my personal opinion is that the latent power build is definitely better overall. I will also offer variations of each build for crafted charms instead of RNG, and also a variation that doesn't require set or group bonus on your weapon either. Starting off then, let's go over the weapon itself, which is of course the Gogma Artian hammer. As for which one, you want element hammers over status, and ideally you would have all 5 different elements. Status was great for base game monsters, but especially if you are farming 9-star or 10-star quests, status thresholds have well outpaced our status values that we can actually get in the game, and statuses just really aren't worth it right now in the proper endgame. As for elements, if you only want to make and maintain one singular hammer, then Dragon Element would be your best choice. It is not fully resisted by any of the properly difficult monsters, even if it is not always the most efficient element. For your focus, attack or element focus are very close to each other in calculations, but element focus is slightly better in the long run with the way that we're building now. If you have attack focus, you will still be nearly as strong, so don't worry about that, but hammer has some slight affinity issues due to the way it has to build full Garanjanath 2 set to properly maintain maximum might, and so the trade-off of attack for affinity is slightly better for element focus in these specific setups, and I'll be doing all the math based on element focus as a result. Especially if you consider the minor bump from the extra element that you gain from doing this too, it definitely does wind up pretty good. For reinforcements, hammer can manage just fine with one sharpness boost EX reinforcement without any sharpness skills to back that up, so that is the big main priority for your reinforcements so that you can maintain sharpness. Then beyond that, the ideal rolls are 4 attack reinforcements, of which you can only have 2 EX rolls at a max, and the others would have to be attack 3. If you happen to get affinity EX over one of our attack 3 rolls, it is nearly equivalent, just very slightly worse, so that would also be acceptable. For set and group bonus, you want Lord Soul as the group bonus of course, and then Fulgur Anjanath set bonus for the build for both styles that we'll be going over today. Fulgur Anjanath 2 set allows us to have proper uptime on maximum might, which you could not do for our biggest attacks on hammer otherwise, and that is the highest value affinity skill in the game. The efficiency of Arkveld Gamma Helmet makes it worth having Fulgur set bonus on the weapon instead of Deshagama set bonus on the weapon, even when still aiming to have both of those set bonuses in the build. That said, the versions of these builds that require RNG are only a little bit better than the ones that we made before this update, so if you don't have Fulgur Anjanath set bonus on your hammer, but do have Deshagama set bonus, you can use our title update 4 build until that changes. First up, our latent power focusing build, as I believe that one to be the best for most players. The armor on this one is Arkveld Gamma Helmet, new Udra Gamma Chest, Gogmazios Alpha Gloves specifically for the double set bonus with Fulgur Anjanath, Deshagama Beta Waist Transcended for the extra slots, and Gogmazios Alpha Legs specifically for the double set bonus with Deshagama. This gets us the Lord Soul group bonus, the Fulgur Anjanath 2 set bonus, Deshagama 2 set bonus, which is just bonus attack for 3 minutes after getting an offset, which should happen constantly on hammer, and then Gogmazios 2 set bonus as a pure bonus for extra element when the monster is enraged, which we just get because we get it as a byproduct of getting the other 2 set bonuses. But that gives us a decent chunk of extra element, and that helps a surprising amount if your weapon does match the target's elemental weakness. For the charm, God Roll Charm is 3 attack boost with 1 latent power, or 1 burst, or 1 flare, or 1 weakness exploit. Agitator would also be solid, but slightly less good with the specific skill ranks we're aiming for 4 in this one. You also want the talisman to be rarity 8 for the weapon decoration slot as well. If you don't have the God Roll Charm, the change is actually multiple things, so I'll just be presenting that as a separate build afterwards so you can easily see the changes in one place. For the mantle, Corrupted Mantle is technically the best by a metric of pure offensive gains because of what it offers you, but the evasion mantle I'm starting to lock a lot more in difficult quests for a weapon that does not have guards or counters to just help you with the attacks that you can't offset, not to mention the attack boost after activating it. And Rocksteady Mantle is also a very high tier mantle option as well, not only letting you actually activate counter strike without being properly hit and flinch and everything, but it also lets you get a few bonus mighty charge slams in during the flinch resistance from it too. Basically, it's personal choice between which of those 3 mantles you think benefits your personal playstyle the most. For decorations then, in the weapon it is critical boost 5 across 2 of the slots, then charge up / attack as a combo decoration if you have an RNG Charm. If you don't have an RNG Charm, that's not worth it, but if you do, that lets you get the 5th rank of attack boost, which is quite valuable in itself. For armor decorations then, it is 1 mighty jewel for the final rank of maximum might, 2 tenderizer jewels to get weakness exploit to 5 ranks, 1 counter jewel to get counter strike to the full 3 ranks as well, then 1 chain jewel for the first rank of burst, as that is the most important rank of burst, 1 throttle jewel for a rank of latent power, which gets us to a very ideal point of average affinity, then 1 flare jewel for the first rank of flare, which is mostly used for the occasional pops of flat damage that it gets you. These won't calculate into our effective raw because there's no real way to actually calculate flat damage procs that happen like that in the same mathematical way as like attack boosts, but they are a very high value for the cost of a singular skill point, so it makes sense to fit it in if you have the space where it makes sense, which we do here. Then you have 3 1-slot sockets and a 2-slot socket left for free as well. For offensive purposes, Stamina Surge in the 2-slot for more maximum might uptime. For defensive, I would instead recommend something like Evade Extender or Evade Window, as I really like a bit of Evade Extender on Hammer. For the 1-slot sockets, offense would be Marathon Runner to keep up maximum might uptime. Defensive best use would generally be Divine Blessing. Full skill list with the way that I have it laid out here then is 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, charge up, which is a 3% damage boost to charge attacks and a boost to stun value as well, 5 weakness exploit, 3 latent power, 3 counter strike, 3 maximum might, 3 divine blessing from the 1-slot sockets, 2 peak performance as a bonus from the weapon. We won't be using the peak performance purposefully, but a cautious estimate would place this around 50% uptime, just because it is quite dangerous to be anything other than full health against the properly challenging monsters in the game. 2 agitator, 2 marathon runner for my slots, 1 burst, 1 flare, 1 stamina surge for my slot, then Deshagama 2-set bonus, Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, Gogmazios 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus for the 5% bonus attack that gives us, at least until you trigger the guts effect. For the math, I will go full detail on this first one, then speed up quite a bit for the other builds today. 247 attack on the weapon as a base in our setup with element focus and ideal rolls, which is then increased by 5%, and then also 4% of that original value for a total of 269.23 attack. We then add 9 attack for the flat bonus portion of attack boost 5, 25 attack for counter strike rank 3, which should be super high uptime because it can trigger off of offsets, but also just being hit by the monster occasionally as well. 5.2 attack from agitator rank 2, which we count at 65% uptime on average, plus 5 attack for burst rank 1, just the first hit effect, but we should be able to keep that up for any of our important damage windows anyways. Then 3 attack for peak performance, just to try and put some value on that skill as minor as it is, and then an extra 10 attack for Deshagama 2-set bonus, which you should be able to keep active very, very consistently on Hammer because of the offsets that we have, for a total attack then of 326.43. For our affinity, 0% base on the weapon, up 30% from weakness exploit rank 5, another 30% from maximum might rank 3 thanks to the Fulgur Anjanath set bonus, making it very consistent, then 21% affinity from latent power 3, which I am counting at 70% uptime due to the fact that it activates after 1, maybe 2 hits from a 10-star quest target, which is the majority of the relevant farm targets right now. But I want to stress that even if we counted latent power at 50% uptime, which is the minimum it could possibly have in combat, it would still math this build better than the other build we'll be talking about afterwards that tries to avoid using latent power quite as much. So even if you really don't like latent power and really don't believe in it, the minimum possible value from that skill in this build is still better, and I want to make that as clear as I possibly can. Then we get an extra 3.25% from agitator rank 2 at 65% uptime for a total average affinity of 84.25%. We have full critical boost, so a critical hit is a 40% damage boost. 84.25% chance of that happening is an average attack increase of 33.7%. Apply that to our attack to get 436.5, then increase that number by a further 32% for the white sharpness modifier up to 576.1 effective raw as our final total for the majority of attacks. But we do have the charge up skill, so our charged attacks specifically get an extra 3% too, which boosts them to 593.4 effective raw. That said, this build overall is about 1.1% more effective raw than the best hammer build was in Title Update 4, but we do also gain 1 rank of flare as a pure bonus on top of that, ignoring effective raw, which again is quite a solid bit of damage over the course of an entire quest right now. Not to mention that we also have elemental boosts on this set. Obviously we are not focusing on element, but element does matter if you're matching the weakness of the target, so this is what our element looks like in the build too. Next up, let's talk about the variation of this build that prioritizes agitator over latent power. You still do have a latent power in the build, but we just purposefully replace as much latent power as possible with agitator, as it makes sense to do that for people who don't think that latent power is worth it. I again want to be clear that I believe latent power as the build that we talked about first is better than this build we're talking about second, but I know that people still don't like latent power, so that's why this version exists. That said, the armor is the same set here: Arkveld Gamma Helmet, new Udra Gamma Chest, Gogmazios Alpha Gloves, Dashagama Beta Waist, and Gogmazios Alpha Legs. This gets us the Lord Soul group bonus, the Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, Dashagama 2-set bonus, and Gogmazios 2-set bonus as well. For the charm on this one, 3 attack boost and 1 agitator is necessary for the exact skill list that we have, but if you had 1 weakness exploit or 1 burst instead of the agitator, that would also work. You just wouldn't be able to get agitator rank 5 specifically. If you don't have an RNG charm, I'll point you to the build after this one, as it is the same as the crafted charm version would be for the first build, so it felt like it makes sense to do both of the main versions of the builds first, and then do that one separately after the fact. That said, for decorations, crit boost 5 in the weapon slots that we have here, then charge up with attack as a combo decoration, as that gets you the 5th rank of attack boost as well when combined with our charm here. In the armor, you want 1 mighty jewel for the final rank of maximum might, very powerful, 2 tenderizer jewels to finish off weakness exploit to the full 5 ranks, 1 counter jewel to finish off counter strike to the final rank there too, 1 flare jewel for the first rank of flare, very nicely, then 2 challenger jewels, which gets us the final ranks of agitator up to rank 5. In the previous build we did have 1 burst, but that would prevent us from getting agitator rank 5 in this one, and the 5th rank of agitator is the most valuable rank of the skill. You could do it instead of flare, but I personally believe that 1 rank of flare is worth more than 1 rank of burst on hammer specifically, where you'll only have the first hit bonus active from burst. That then leaves you with 3 level 1 decoration slots open to do with whatever utilities you choose. I've done divine protection here, but marathon runner is great for maximum might uptime. Then you also have a 2-slot socket left over in which I have stamina surge for maximum might uptime, but again, something like evade extender or evade window or whatever utility you want would also be a fine choice. Full skill list then is 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, charge up, weakness exploit, 5 agitator, 3 counter strike, 3 maximum might, 3 divine blessing, 2 peak performance, 2 marathon runner, 1 latent power, 1 flare, 1 stamina surge, the Shogama 2-set bonus, Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, Gogmazios 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus as well. For the math on this one, 247 attack as a base, increased by percent bonuses up to 269.23. Then add on our flat attack increases up to 329.23. For affinity, 0% base with element focus up to 76.75% average affinity. 5 ranks of critical boost makes critical hits a 40% damage increase, so 76.75% chance of that happening is an average attack boost of 30.7%. Apply that to our attack to get 430.3 effective raw, then boost by a further 32% for the white sharpness damage modifier up to our final effective raw of 568, which again is boosted by 3% more for charged attacks. This places this build around 1.4% lower effective raw than the latent power focus setup, but they are still very close to each other, and we still get the 1 rank of flare as well, even though we sacrifice first rank of burst in order to get it, as I think it's genuinely better than 1 burst on hammer specifically at the very least. And the only other thing that we could give up is the 5th rank of weakness exploit or the 5th rank of agitator, which both outscale burst as the 5th rank of those skills in this setup. That said, this does mean the element value is also a bit lower than the first build, but that only truly matters if you are properly element matching your target's weaknesses. Our third build today then is essentially those 2 first builds, but with a crafted charm instead, as they both end up best done in the same way with a crafted charm. I won't go super deep on this one as it's just a variation of the 2 that we've already talked about in detail with minor changes, but simply put, the armor is exactly the same. We change the charm to the agitator charm for 3 ranks of agitator. Then in the weapon, what you want to do is take out the charge up / attack decoration, because a lot of the value from that decoration came from it being the 5th rank of attack boost, and replace it instead with a critical I3 decoration for some extra affinity as the best way to get more damage from that slot now with our current layout. You could use focus if you like focus enough to do that, but focus is arguably as much of a detriment as a boon on hammer, because our level 2 charge attack is super important, and it shortens the timing window that exists for, even if it does make it faster to get to mighty charge slam. Other decorations for the build then are on screen here, as is the full skill list as well. I won't go through the full math for this one, but for comparison, the end effective raw for this build build is 565, which is literally 3 lower than the agitator RNG Charm focus version we just talked about. But while it has very high average affinity in this one, thanks to the extra critical eye, this build is capable of overcapping on affinity if everything is active at the same time, which will happen sometimes during a hunt. So while the math says it's like nearly even to the previous builds, in actuality it will result in a decent amount less per hunt. That's to say, if you don't have an RNG Charm, this is absolutely worth using and it is incredible. But if you have the option of the RNG Charm that we've talked about in the previous builds, they do end up being a good 1.5 to 2% or so better in practical situations. Our final build of the day then is our crafted build version, so the one that doesn't have any RNG requirements at all. For this one we are losing the Gogma 2-set bonus and the Gog 2-set bonus, but keeping Fulgur Anjanath 2-set for maximum might uptime purposes, and keeping Lord Soul group bonus for the massive attack boost. This build is only a very slight improvement over what was possible for the update, and it's because of weakness exploit 3 as a crafted charm. That said, our armor is Guardian, Fulgur, Beta, and helmet and gloves, Jin dahaad Gamma chest and legs, and then the Raidao Gamma waist as well here. We also are going to be using the Exploiter charm, as I just mentioned, the weakness exploit 3 charm, and basically what this gains us over the title update 4 version is that we can get the Jin dahaad 2-set, which we couldn't before, and that is a bonus in niche situations, but one that won't be active all that consistently. That said, in the actual decorations here, we have 5 critical boost on the weapon slots, then a critical eye 3 decoration to fill up some more affinity 2. In the armor, 1 challenger jewel for the final rank of agitator, 3 counter jewels for full ranks of counter strike, 1 chain jewel for the first rank of burst, and 1 flare for the first rank of flare. Then you get the 1 slot left over for utility. A bonus about this build is that it gets Jin dahaad's binding counter 2-set bonus, which is 25 bonus attack while active, but that can only trigger for hammer if you get webbed or frostblighted or pinned by a monster, and these are very unreliable things to trigger in the majority of fights in the game, so I won't be counting it in the math, but in matchups where that happens frequently enough, this could actually become equal, if not better, than the previous builds that we've talked about, but only if you can keep that set bonus at full uptime essentially. That said, the full skill list is 5 critical boost, 3 critical eye, 5 weakness exploit, 5 agitator, 3 counter strike, 3 maximum might, 2 latent power, 1 burst, 1 foray, and 1 flare. Then we have Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, Jin dahaad 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus as well for this one. For the math to blast through this one then, 247 attack on the weapon as a base, increased by 5% for Lord Soul up to 259.35. Add our flat attack bonuses to reach 302.35. For affinity, 0% base increased by our skills up to 95.75% average affinity. This again means that we will occasionally overcap on affinity, but this is our average. Again, that means in practical situations, this will be a little less good than the numbers look sometimes, but it's still very, very strong. 5 critical boost means crits are a 40% damage increase, 95.75% chance of that happening is a 38.3% average attack increase, so we'll apply that to our attack and we get 418.2. Then increase that number by a further 32% for the white sharpness damage modifier, up to a final effective raw of 552, which is around 4.3% lower than the first build we talked about today. So all in all, the gap between full RNG and no RNG at all is smaller than it has been since the RNG systems were added to the endgame of Wilds, which is pretty nice to see. That just about does it for today then, everyone. Your full set of hammer builds after title update 4.5 updated and improved with the new equipment options that we have available. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy using these builds for yourself in the game as well. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.